shots are always going to be there. Just be aware that it could hurt if you want to get feelings for good gauntlets. These good titanium plate gauntlets are going to be excellent for that sort of thing.
As a matter of point, in the EMV, shots to the hands count, so if you take it directly on the hand, count it as one.
Yes. If that shot comes in and it hurts or you feel it through your big tough gauntlets, give them the point. Alright? So, getting into a little bit of what we talked about earlier in the psychology of fighting, if I'm going to be fighting this shieldsman here, and I'm going to be looking for some kind of a reactive stance, because I don't usually have the opportunity. If he is screwed up, he's allowed himself to get inside my range without doing something, which is a lot of newer sword and shield fighters will let you do that. Don't rely on them allowing that. I'm not a big fan of relying on your opponent's stupidity to win a fight, because it'll work for a lot of new guys, but you'll come up against a wall where the more experienced fighters are just going to stop being stupid and you're going to get hit a lot. So, the standard procedure that you're primarily going to face is we're going to be out here a little bit, and he's going to be buying his time, waiting for the opportunity. He might inch himself in, and all of a sudden he winds up here, and he's not going to stay there. As soon as he reaches the point where he is comfortable crossing the distance in a single bound, he's going to attack you, okay? So your basic options are to attack him first or react to that situation, okay? So if you're attacking him first, of course there's lots of opportunities, we'll get into that one in a minute. If you're waiting for his attack, this is where your footwork and a little bit of the psychology item are going to come in. These are big, heavy weapons. These shields, especially, although they're good maneuverable, they have good maneuverability, they're very light, okay? Moving this thing around a heck of a lot is very easy with one of these swords, okay? If you can...
And no sword and shieldman likes to feel their shield go like this.
Yes. The sword and shieldman's general psychology is that they are safe behind their shield and you don't have one. That gives them a psychological advantage over you that you need to take away from them. If you can make them feel very insecure about their shield, that's going to go a long ways to you doing what you need to do. So when that, when he starts coming in, if you can knock that thing, you can hit it very hard. I've seen the shields, I've seen them actually whip out of some guy's hand, because you hit the bottom of it so hard and it just goes and starts spinning.
This is the strong point on the shield. If you strike this, they will be able to defend against it pretty easily. If you get anywhere near the edges, like say a foot outside of that, the shield will table. When it tables, sword and shield guys generally freak out. Now, some of them are trained, like there's different guys. I know that when the bastard sword comes, because I've been doing this forever, and he's going to strike low like that what I need to do is immediately start cutting, because he doesn't have time to get that weapon back. But most of them don't think about that. What they think about is, it goes like this, and they go, oh crap, I got to get out of here, because my shield is wonky. And suddenly they freak out. And now you've got them kind of going, uh-oh, well now it hits really hard. Ooh, shit, right? And it'll work. He's right. Keep going.
Yep. So, basics on the shield, like you're saying. These points on your shield are very easy to manipulate. It doesn't matter what kind of the shield it is. They've all got this nice little rim around the outside, unless they're the really light plastic shields.
Right.
But generally a shield has some kind of edging, or it's got some kind of a boss. These are kinds of things that you can work with to start to dislocate their shield. So if you're going for that thrusting, if you catch it on that side of the boss, you can start to skim it off the edges. If it's on a strap shield, you can just pound the shit out of it, and they feel that in their elbow and in their arm. And I've had guys say, oh, holy shit, they almost wanted to count a point through their shield onto their arm, not because they were in serious amount of pain, but because you hit their shield and it stung. Once you do that, their confidence in their shield starts to drop rather dramatically. That's where these big, heavy maces and things like that are really going to start to come in. The lighter, tapered, I've still got quite a few bastard swords that aren't tapered. just because I like a really light, quick sword, and when you taper them and put the rope edge on them, you lose so much mass out of them that they can lose a lot of that dramatic effect. Okay, so that is something to kind of consider when you're making a bastard sword. Try and do something that keeps the weight up. If you're going to put a rope edge on it, maybe don't profile it quite as much. Or use a really heavy piece of rattan to start with. Some of the primary advantages that we have that shieldmen don't. We're not necessarily relying on this piece of metal or plastic or wood, and we're fighting with a bastard sword. This is why it's incredibly important that your bastard sword is not a great sword. It is something that is very comfortable to wield in one hand. Okay? Prime example, you've got shieldman comes in and grabs it. You need to be in a position where you can pick up his wrist, his blade, his sword, any of those kinds of things. You've got a shield. If you can block a weapon and grab the edge of their shield, start ripping it around. If your opponent has a strapped shield and you can start dragging it, this is an incredible advantage to you as well. Again, you're taking away their reliance on that shield, because most of them, it's the little, they're behind it. They don't want to get out in front of it. They're not really good fighting with a single sword. And if you wind up, completely removing your opponent's shield, and you've got one of these swords versus a single sword, well, that presents a whole new set of opportunities as well. Any questions about that sword?
I have a thing that I do. You can tell me how you want to do it. I tend to tell them they'll be able to see easier. When I fight bastard swordsmen in general, when I fight the Lord Captain, for the very reasons that he's talking about here, I don't present the shield. What I present looks like this. Can't strike the shield easily because it's just going to blow into my legs. And I've got a thrust here that the minute that he sweeps with that sword, if I want, it's a straight in, stab right to the chest, and it's pretty bad. He doesn't want that.
No.
How do you avoid, because I know you've done it to me a variety of times, you've avoided this particular kill, and how do you actually do it? So I'm starting here, and I'm presenting.
In this kind of a position, his primary thing that he's doing, you're going to treat it more like he's fighting a single sword. Okay? So the fact that his shield is there is going to be kind of an extra thing that you work with. In this kind of a case, I will probably, anytime my opponent presents their weapon out like this, I generally work off of a lower reactive stance. I can guess that in this kind of position, his primary attack that he's going to be working on is going to be a very quick thrust. Okay? Anything else he's going to do, I'm going to have an opportunity to work with. It's one of the reasons why I personally think that this is a ridiculous stance for a bastard sword. Okay, all you really have is a very short, because your arms are already down here. You don't have a very long thrust, and anything you're going to do is going to require an incredible amount of setup. Okay, so anytime he's doing this, that thrust is primarily going to be what's coming in. So I have a couple of options. One of the biggest ones is that I can take that thrust and not really worry about it too much. If I'm going to start in a low stance like this, he's got his shield on the right, he's probably going to rely on that. If I can come in on that thrust and get it on and then bang into the lower section of the shield, keeping it lower, that's going to present to me a certain set of opportunities in his arm and on this side of the body as well as up on the head. Okay, one of the things on your pel work that you really need to work on is combinations based on the same side of your opponent. Does everybody know the basic pel drill?
Nope.
No. Did you guys work on pels much? Not really. Okay. Basic pel drill. You stick 6 numbers on your opponent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Going through the basic drill, this is incredibly important to work with. You start off and you throw 1, 1, and then you throw 1, 2, and 3, 1, 4, so on and so forth. Once you've done that, then you throw 2, 1, 2, 2, and you go through that whole thing until you've come out on top. The reason why this is very important for a bastard sword guy is because you need to be very good at throwing consecutive shots, often that are a somewhat awkward nature. So if I can throw 3 shots to his leg followed by a shot to his head, that's going to present an opportunity for me. If I can come in high, low, low, and high, those are going to be the kinds of things that are going to displace your opponent's shield. Okay, so back into that kind of idea, I know that he's coming in primarily with a thrust. Anything else he's going to do, I'm going to be able to react to. So when I come in and that comes across, tap there and go high.
Notice also that he is stepping to my shield side, which basically uses my shield against me.
If your foot hits the ground before your sword hits, you're also losing power. The moment of impact on your weapon should be at the precise moment that your toe touches the ground. So when you're throwing... What?
For the first hit.
Well, with any hit. So if I throw this shot here, okay, so if I'm rotating around, I want the sword to impact there. Okay, I can keep moving around his body and throw another shot backwards. Okay, I can step in and come in on a thrust, and then step over and again hit, and it's always in your footwork. As your feet move, your weapon moves with it. Okay? If you have to stand and fight, don't feel too bad about, you imagine, I guess I kind of say visualize your footwork with it. So if I'm stuck up against a wall and I can only step over and throw, my feet don't actually move, but my body still goes with it. Okay? So all of this stuff, it needs to become very fluid, smooth motion. This is your only defense. Your hands and your keons need to be up where they could be blocking a potential return shot. When we come back around, it's going to be the same thing. Okay? Your options are to push and pull and do 2 shots, exactly the same on the same plane. You can drop the front hand and push it while keeping the back hand steady, or you can rotate it around as a front hand.
As an illustrative help, something that I learned when I was on these, the motion that your sword makes in this arc, we used to call it teardrop. What you are doing, pop up your sword. When I'm here, I allow the sword to drop like a teardrop and then come back around to strike the same point. It makes an elongated little teardrop. It's not like this. It's let the loop happen. The loop is very important to build up momentum and power in the weapon.
You'll get a lot more strength.
So teardrop with the step. Do you want to start? Okay. Try it. Let's see. Let's see. Go ahead.
Think about it. Think about, imagine if he's actually successfully blocking. Your body will go with it, and your step will be your power. Go ahead and over. Okay. Stepping around.
I would hold this up for here.
That's okay.
There you go. Yes, I'm around. Okay. I'm doing this. You're stepping in the bottom and then you're coming back over here. You're making that teardrop. You make your teardrop that whole thing.
Remember, well, it's a variety of options, like I said. Second one, no. So I can put it in my hand.